Immediately following the introduction, we will dissect it. The enormous supply gap in Bitcoin is paving the way for dramatic movement. Hold off till you see Solana's numbers. Yes, the Solana chain, which we have been building up since Q1 and which everyone wrote off. You know what? They just launched futures trading today, hitting the big league CME. Given that the recent upgrades could completely alter the situation for holders of XRP, what does this indicate for Sol's future? Because we are going to dive into Bitcoin, which is currently up 6.1% over the last 24 hours, and Ethereum, which is currently up 1.4% over the same period. Both USDT and USDC are coming in at their respectable levels. Make sure you hit the like button and enable notifications so you never miss anything. I suppose respectable 99-cent pegs as XRP are holding down the line, folks. It's currently in the green. 0.67% of the total cryptocurrency market cap, which is $2,706 billion. Here you go. XRP to USDT prices are moving inside the channel's formation. $1.92 is a very important support level that we need to hold. If we don't, we'll see a dip that you don't want to see. We've bounced off of it several times, and the price needs to break and close above the trend line, which, ironically, is sitting right around that $2.50 range. This epidemic was reported by Crypto Rover to CME Group, the biggest futures exchange in the world. Guess what, though? Today, a Solana futures contract will be introduced. That's right. What does this signify? Simply put, access to institutions. This will increase Solana's legitimacy and liquidity, so if you were worried that it would disappear like other futures on the CME Futures Exchange, think again. It will enable traders, hedge funds, big investors, and big money to gain exposure to Solana without actually holding the asset. Since Bitcoin is Ethereum, the other two Solanas will probably be cash settled, which means that no real money is traded, just the price difference as settlement volatility. By protecting themselves from price fluctuations, hedge traders can increase Solana's appeal as an asset and influence the market. Greater and greater price discovery may result from increased derivatives trading, which may also have an impact on Solana's market movement depending on demand for futures. The big money is in the future. Futures are what you wish to see. This will help us advance. This round, we discussed Solana $800,000. This will undoubtedly be a driving force behind it. CoinDesk is the source of this. It claims that there is a huge supply gap for Bitcoin between 70,000 and 80,000. Data from Glassnode indicates that 20% or more of the Bitcoin supply is currently losing money. The sharp increase in Bitcoin in November caused a 70 to 80K supply gap. There could be a steep decrease with substantial support centered around 70,000 if the price drops below 80K. On this lunar automobile, I was in my zone between 65 and 75, as we have discussed. Display the same item. We are in this triangle, you see. We start to cry. His next stop is between 72 and 74. We must part ways. His score is higher than 92. My score is higher than 95. I'll pull it up for you so we can see it on the chart. At the top of this, let's do a little resistance and support. He is now correct in saying that we should watch for or try to break above 94K. You don't want to see the drop down on this thing if it breaks out. That's how we'll put it. After that, we become bullish. Digital assets are here to stay, according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We intend to establish the United States as the global center for digital assets. We just heard from David Sachs, so pay attention. Though that is only one aspect of the larger economic issue, the Treasury will have a significant impact on the development of cryptocurrencies in America. How does it all come together when there are so many other factors to take into account? Thankfully, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will be joining us shortly, and he's monitoring everything. Now he comes to me. Secretary Bessent, thank you so much. Look, I think people are getting into cryptocurrency in a very big way. It seems like it's something that's here to stay. So from your perspective as Treasury Secretary, how does it fit into the overall U.S. economy, and where does the government stand on regulations? Good, well, thanks for having me on the show, and as I think this administration has made abundantly clear, digital assets are here to stay, and we are going to make the U.S. the digital asset hub of the world. For the past 4 years, the crypto community digital assets, the administration retarded their growth, and we are set to accelerate that through a positive partnership and through smart regulation. Senate and House are both pushing through very sound safe bills to bring a crypto and digital assets onshore in the U.S. and to make sure that the U.S. is both the financial and the technological lead. These are the type of statement that we need to hear. This is what we need for the U.S. moving forward here. Very bullish. Everyone very, very, very bullish, especially with everything that Trump has been doing and passing and their legislation. This is a positive move, and according to Jim Cramer, the market is getting ready to relinquish some gains. Let's imitate this. This one appeals to us. I like when he says this because this is freaking bullish. This is what we want him to say because we know what happens. The reverse Cramer, Dr. Fenton, got your XRP support and resistance. He's looking at 230 and 222. If that gets broken, we have resistance sitting around 339 and 585. I mean, I have resistance sitting anywhere from 250 to $3 on my XRP chart. Those are his numbers. We'll see what happens. We'll see where it comes. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to daddy. Bitcoin and Ripple versus the SEC. Jeremy Hogan's like hold on a second. He quoted from Eleanor Terrence post cases in the process of wrapping up. It could be over soon. Hogan says the only way the case could be over soon is if Ripple and the SEC reach a private settlement agreement, which would vary from the judgment by Judge Torres dismissing the appeal, and then simply never taking the terms of the settlement agreement back to the trial court to be ratified. But this is possible, but assuming the injunction is the sticking point, the SEC would have to agree not to enforce the court's injunction. I have a hard time believing that the SEC would agree to that. But possibly it could agree to something more oblique, such as providing Ripple a path to actual register sales of XRP to institutional investors, for example, meaning Ripple could get what it needs while the SEC doesn't blatantly snub the court's order, meaning it can be done. This is the only way I can see the case resolving anytime in the next couple of days or weeks, which would apparently be consistent with what she is reporting, a settlement agreement. Very interesting here, folks. Look, I don't want these settlements to come when the markets are in a downward turn or when we are looking at nothing but muck. I don't want that to be the catalyst as to why this thing breaks out, because, you know, we're going to break right back down. We have waited this long for the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit to come to an end. Another couple of weeks or another couple of months is not going to hurt us. Let's get into that positive momentum. Let's start to see the next leg of the bull run go up. Let's get Bitcoin breaking out and getting into a new all-time high above 108,000, and then let's get this news right now. If we get the news, big deal. What if XRP revisits or visits its resistance zone of $250 to $3, which is going to be a pain in the butt to get through because the market makers are holding it in there with a ton of orders and so much liquidity that is needed? I'd rather wait. We wait. We get the breakout when we're in that $4 range, and then we get the pop-up to a double-digit XRP. We're all popping bottles together.